everyone. I'm Chris Barnes, Professor of Business Management here at Lakeland Community College, and I want to welcome you all here today for the Dworkin and Bernstein Management Lecture Series at Lakeland Community College. This series is brought to you by an endowment from the Dworkin and Bernstein law firm in Lake County. This is, in fact, the 40th anniversary of the Management Lecture Series. We've been doing this since 1976. It's incredible. I think you're going to enjoy our guest speaker tonight. Our guest speaker is LaToya Smith. She's been a team member of Fifth Third Bank since August of 1999 and has been assistant vice president since 2006. She has the responsibility for attracting, acquiring, and advancing top diverse talent into the bank. Currently, she has several other community projects that she is working on, including she's a mentor in the Friend to Friend mentoring program, where she works with women who are incarcerated in the Northeast Pre-Release Center. Additionally, she mentors students in the LINK program at Cleveland State University. She also works with the Cleveland Transfer Center, the Cleveland Scholarship Program, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and the Black Professional Association Charitable Foundation. She's also a past board member of Sankofa Fine Art Plus, and where she was responsible for driving the mission of the organization, serving in the senior board leadership role, managing community projects over $200,000, and executing key strategic goals of the organization. If that isn't enough, she serves on many other boards, including the United Black Fund of Greater Cleveland, the Cuyahoga County Workforce. She works with Dress for Success, and is a part-time adjunct faculty member at Cuyahoga Community College. So she has absolutely no free time. She's a graduate of Cleveland State University and has an MBA from the University of Phoenix. She lives in Macedonia with her husband and their 2 children. So full-time job, many part-time jobs, husband, 2 children. I don't know how you found time to come and join us tonight, but we really appreciate it. So would you please help me welcome LaToya Smith, Assistant Vice President of Fifth Third Bank.
Well, can you all hear me? I am super excited. I feel like I should be dancing on this stage. Any backup singers or dancers that can I get up stage with me? Wow, I am pleased to see so many people in the audience on a Monday. That's 7:25. So thank you all for being here. The last time I was here was probably, I think it was probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was the board chair of Sankofa Fine Art Plus, and we had an art gallery. We had wine and art here, and it's some beautiful artwork out there. So if you hadn't had time to admire it, please make sure you do that. But this space is really beautiful. And I just want to thank Chris for allowing me to be here and to share some words of knowledge with you. Towards the end of the presentation, we'll have some time for some Q&A. There is no question that is off limit. Ask whatever it is that you want. Now, whether or not I tell the truth, it'll be something totally different. I'm just kidding. But I want this time to be for you. I want this time for you as you're sitting comfortably in your seats, for you to kind of think about your life, think about what you're passionate about, and what legacy you want to leave here on this live and leave as you continue on your career journey. And so I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about myself, as Chris shared with you that, and I can go a little bit further. So I'm a Cleveland native, born and raised here in Cleveland, Ohio. And I graduated from Shaw High School way back when, and then transitioned to Cleveland State University, where I majored in marketing. And while I was at CSU, I had an opportunity to take advantage of internships. So as students, I'm begging you all to, as you're going through your career experience, your college experience, to make sure that you intern, make sure that you take advantage of those opportunities. But before we get into all of that, I want us to take some time right now and just quiet ourselves real quick. So do me a favor, close your eyes. Don't fall asleep. Close your eyes and repeat after me. I am open to receive whatever it is that I may need at this exact moment in my life. Now take 3 deep breaths with me. Thank you. You can open your eyes. So I grew up, like I said, in East Cleveland, and my mom raised 2 little girls. My sister and I were 10 years apart. And my mom was a single parent raising us, and she always taught us the most important thing, and that was for us to give back. That's for us to make sure that as you continue to climb, you pull someone up. As you continue to walk in this life, that you're helping someone else. And so the reason why it seemed like my life is so full is because I'm living out that legacy. So not only do I do my day job, but also is taking the time to give back civically. And so, yes, so I've been with the bank since 1999, and I started off right out of college, 6 months out of college. And one day, it was on a Sunday night, I was a manager at CVS Pharmacy, and I hated it. And back in the day when they used to put career opportunities in the classified ads. And so I saw this position of retail associate, which is a management training program at Fifth Third Bank. And at that time, I'm like, what's a Fifth Third Bank? What's a fraction bank? And so I had an opportunity to, to do my research and got excited. So saw the ad on a Sunday, interviewed on a Monday, got the job on a Tuesday. And been there 17 years since, and I'm only 25. But anyway, I started off in that retail associate program, which gave me the foundation that I need to become that leader that I wanted to become. And so as I walked through that path, I did that role for a number of years. I was an assistant manager for about 5 years. I went back and got my graduate degree. And then I got promoted to a regional risk manager, where I was responsible for managing 16 banking centers on the east side, all the risk management. So I came in there and I did all the audits, made sure that customers wasn't, creating fraud, and making sure that employees wasn't stealing from the bank. And then one day, as I was thinking about my career, I had a question. I said, what do I want to be when I grow up? And that's what I want to ask you guys. What do you want to be when you grow up? And so as you think about that, what do you want to be when you grow up? Think about what you're going to school right now for. Think about what you're passionate about. Think about, if I can be doing something, whether I got paid for it or not, this is what I love to do. I can't wait till the weekend is over so I can get to that position. And so I was thinking about those things. I'm like, okay, I like helping people. I got my business degree. How can I do both? And what was in the middle? It was HR, human resources. And so what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is that Chris said, share with me some of the success stories, some of the tips that can help our students as they navigate through their career and following their passion. So I tell people look at their employment in 3 ways: a job, a career, and a calling. Okay? Now, I'm in talent acquisition, so I always hire people who at least want a career. I don't hire people who want jobs. And so people look at their career in 3 ways. And so I want you to think about, what are you called to do? You're majoring in something in right now, business or whatever it is. Are you called to that major? And I want to make sure that you are doing things and thinking about that you're doing those things and you're reaching and you're moving towards that direction where you want to go. Is this something that you really want to do? Or did your parents or somebody around you say you really should go into this career field? Because I really want you to be serious about that and really think about that, so that you're really following what you're passionate about. So when I thought about HR, I was really passionate about that because that gave me the opportunity to help people. That gave me the opportunity to be able to connect and network with individuals, to hire folks for my organization. I did it the most creative way. I didn't just hire people that apply for the position. You know how I really hire folks? By looking at people just like you. Did you guys know that you was on an interview right now? That's how I hire people. If I was to go out to a restaurant and somebody served me well, I gave them my business card. If I went to the mall to go buy something and they gave me great service, I was passing out my business card. When I ask students, tell me about someone who might be a good fit for my organization, hey, they'll tell me, hey, I hired my friend. They're just like me. That's how this works, people. About the importance of networking. It's about the importance of telling people what it is that you want to do. And so when I think about how I have been able to navigate through my career, I tell people all the time, it's all about having a plan. And I'm so glad that you all are in school. I'm so glad that you are figuring it out. But once you have landed that opportunity and you're in your career field, that's your opportunity to make some good connections. That's your opportunity to create a development plan. Everyone knows what a development plan is? Yeah. And so in that development plan, you can do that right now, even though you're not in your career field now, you may or may not. But this is the time. Fall is my favorite season. This is a great time right now. We have 90 days or a little less than 90 days into the new year. This is a great time right now for you to do what we learn in business, SWOT analysis. This is a great time to do a personal SWOT analysis. What are some of my strengths? What are some of my weaknesses or areas of development? What opportunities do I have and what threats do I face? So this is a great time right now to make that self-assessment, and I would encourage you to do it every single year. Because the difference between where you are and where you want to be is the gap. And how can you put your gap plan in place? And you sometimes have to be very creative with that. And so as you're in school right now and you're gaining your education, there still may be some things that you need to do to work on to ultimately get to where you want to be. And so I want to share with you a little bit about the pie theory. Has anyone ever heard about the pie theory? So if you want a piece of the pie, if you really want to propel in your career and you want to move up, we have all worked for some very poor managers at one point in our lives. Or we may end up working for someone who you figured out, like, how in the world did they get that job? And so I'm just going to give you a tip of how you can manage through that. And that's through the pie theory. So the P is for performance. And when organizations are looking to promote individuals, they look at your performance. How well are you doing in your current role? Are you meeting expectations? Are you exceeding expectations? Or are you just doing the bare minimum? So that's about 10% of what they look at. The next piece of that pie is the I, the image. What is your personal brand? What do people think about your professional image? When you walk out of that door, what do the people say about you? Because if you think you're all of that in a bag of chips and they don't think you all that in a bag of chips, you ain't all that in a bag of chips. So it's all about your personal brand. What do you want to be known as? Don't you want to be that go-to person? Do you want to be known as that person? Well, she always gossiping. She's always in somebody's business. So you want to make sure that you create a personal, professional brand for yourself. And then the last thing is exposure. It's making sure that you're connecting with those people who can advocate for you. To make sure that the people that make the decisions know who you are. When you all are going to networking events, and I would encourage you to start doing that and networking with individuals, because here in this community, in this city, is all about who knows you, not about who you know. And so it's about networking. But I encourage you to get that exposure. Even in the organization if you're currently working in an organization, you need to get that exposure. People need to know who make the decisions, who you are. When you're working for those different companies and they need someone to do whatever, volunteer, what have you, are you the person that raised your hand? Because see, that's how I got to where I am today. So I was a regional risk manager wanting to go into HR. didn't have any HR experience, didn't have my education in HR, but because I worked that pie theory to the T, which helped me to get into that HR position, someone was willing to take a chance on me because I was currently performing in my role. So you can't go and ask your manager, hey, I want to be on a special project, or I want to have a stretch goal if you're not currently performing in your current role. You can't go to your manager and say, it's time for me to get a raise, but you're not currently performing in your role. You can't ask for a promotion to get to that next level if you're not currently performing in your role. So I was performing in my role, and I was very strategic about that. And so every single year, because I wanted to go into HR, I will go to my HR manager and strategically have a meeting every year. I will set it up every year. Tell them about what I'm currently doing, that I'm performing in my role. Here's my evaluation. This is what they put on it. Here's some of my strengths. Here's some things that I'm working on. She already knew about my image. She already knew about that I was known for always helping, volunteering, doing those certain things, going out in the community. And then exposure, which means people knew the things that I was doing in the community. And when I tell you about the exposure piece, what I also learned about that when we talk about what are some of the things that I've learned in that experience, some do's and don'ts. So prime example from the exposure piece is that I do a lot of stuff in the community. And so I currently, my president at Fifth Third Bank is on the board for Cuyahoga Community College. And he didn't know that I had been teaching at Tri-C for a number of years and also sit on one of their community boards. And so he's sitting in a meeting with all the senior leaders and someone mentions my name and what I've done. And so he's sitting there like, oh my God, LaToya is doing this. And so he's sitting there playing along and writing down notes. And when he came back to the office, he stopped by my office. So, you sit in your desk and the president walks in your office, you're like, oh shoot, what did I do? And he come into my office and he said, hey, LaToya, I was in this meeting and you got some great accolades in this meeting about what you did, yada, yada, yada. And, great job, but I'm glad you're doing it. And now I can even more support you in what you're doing. But I learned a valuable lesson from that experience because I didn't share with him that I was working for Tri-C. I didn't share with him some of the other things that I was doing in the community, and he's well connected. Because I don't get hung up on accolades. I don't get hung up on, oh, LaToya is doing this, LaToya is doing that. But that wasn't the right mindset that I was thinking, because I was being humble. But it was more so, it's about being inclusive and sharing what I was doing. So that if there's senior leaders out there doing things and they're hearing my name, they already know, and not sitting in a meeting surprised that, hey, I got one of my workers doing X, Y, Z. And so it's always good to kind of share some of the things that you're doing. Sometimes you're going to be in positions where you're not using all of your hidden talents. What are you going to do with those hidden talents? That's a great opportunity for you to use your great talents and those hidden talents to do civic-minded activities and be involved in the community. There are great ways that you can be involved in the community. As mentioned before, I sit on a number of boards and I sit on a number of committees where I can utilize some of the hidden talents and some of the things that I'm not able to do in my day-to-day. So another thing I would like to share with you that I feel is very important when you think about the roadmap of your career. Do not think from a moment from here on out that it's your manager's responsibility to develop you and get you ultimately where you want to be. Do not fall into that trap. Should they assist you? Should they help you? Yeah, that's part of their job. But you are the driver of your plan. And it's your responsibility. You are going to work for folks who may become jealous of you. You're going to work for folks going to have less education than you. You're going to work for folks that don't have a bit of common sense, but in their roles. But it's really up to you to drive your development plan and to make sure that you have some key people in your life? How many of you have mentors? I need y'all to raise your hands a little higher for those who have mentors. There's not that many. And so I'm going to ask today that you think about your whole network. Think about your social circle. Because it is critical that you all have mentors or somebody in your life helping you. And I call it the 5 of 5. Because the way I was able to also be successful is because I had people who were mentoring me and who was developing me and giving me feedback on how I can be a better professional, how I can be better in HR, especially having limited experience and education in that. And so in your 5 of 5, you need to have a mentor. That person who's a little bit more experienced than you are. That person who can say to you, hey, you're great at this, but you need to work a little harder at that. You need somebody who can tell you and be honest with you and that you can be vulnerable with and say, hey, I'm a little weak at this. What do I do? I'm in this situation at work. How do I handle it? And that's critical. You want to know why? Because when I talk about professional image, it is all about your credibility. Before you respond and not react to a certain situation that you may face at work, I tell people all the time, and even for myself, before I make a decision, especially if you're in a heated situation where, oh, it may not be good, I ask myself, will this add to my credibility or will this diminish my credibility? Always ask yourself that before you respond to anything. Now, I know there's going to be some situations where you know I can really get this person right now. I can really get them because I know what I'm saying, I know what I'm doing, I can really get them. But sometimes it's not always about that. Sometimes you have to be the professional one. Sometimes you got to take that hit. And so I always ask myself, will this add to my credibility or will this diminish? And remember, you don't want to ever diminish your credibility because you just never know who you may need, what you may need, or what situations may happen, may occur in the future. And I say this to you because of this. Being on the talent acquisition side, I work with many managers. And so there are lines of business that I cover. I have audit, I have legal, I have finance, and I have enterprise risk. Those are all the lines of business that the recruiters that I have report to me cover. And I had a situation where there was a candidate that had been with the bank for a number of years, I think about 10 years. And she had applied for an opportunity. It was an internal promotion. And she went up for that promotion. But the manager remembered something that she had done 6 years ago and wanted to hold that against her. So I'm talking to this manager. This person has all the skill set. They have the P, the PI, the performance, the image and exposure. But you want to hold her back for something that she did 6 years ago. And I'm thinking to myself, what sense does that make? We've all done some things that we probably wouldn't do. You know, it's about growth. It's about maturing. It's about learning. You can't hold somebody back for something they did 6 years ago. There are some of the things that I shared with this manager that you did 6 years ago that you wouldn't do today. Do you want to be held still accountable for that? And so because you have sometimes people holding on to things, that's why I try to tell people, think about credibility. Am I adding or am I subtracting from my credibility? The next person you should have in your top 5 of 5 is a coach. Somebody who can train you and help you to be at your ultimate performance. Sometimes you might have to pay for coaching. It could be a life coach, it could be a career coach. But it's good to have somebody who can help coach you. The next person and the most critical person that you really should have in your top 5 of 5 is an advocator. You need to have somebody who's advocating for you, especially at the organization where you want to be. You need somebody who's sitting at that table, who's advocating, mentioning your name, and highlighting and talking about your accolades at the table when you're not sitting at that table. That advocator is critical because they can promote you and get you ultimately where you want to be. When it was time for me to transition into HR, when that opportunity came up, and I was offered that opportunity because I was offered that opportunity so a recruiting position came up, and I told you guys I was interested in HR, had been very strategic, meeting with that manager, letting her know I want to get into HR. The minute a recruiting position opened up, she didn't even open up position. She called me and said, hey, I have an opening in HR on the recruiting side. The position is yours if you want it. That's how that can work for you guys. Then also when that position came up, other people were advocating for me saying, hey, remember LaToya wanted to go into HR. So before you post that position, see if she's interested. This is her opportunity. So I had people advocating for me when I wasn't at the table, when I didn't even know the position was going to be open. Then you need to have what I would call a negotiator. You need to have a negotiator part of your top 5 of 5. Somebody who's like a recruiter. Could be me. Make friends with me. But somebody who can help you to negotiate and look at your salary. And I say that it's important because when you graduate from school and you start going into your career search and you're looking for those opportunities in your career field, you got to do your homework. You got to see what the industry is paying. You got to look at what skill sets and other things that you're bringing to the table. You have to look at the entire package and not just the base salary. And ladies, I love my ladies. I got to look out for you, my ladies. Ladies, when it comes to negotiating, we don't do it. I've been on recruiting side for 9 years. Majority of the women that I make offers to, I make an offer and they just so grateful and thankful. Thank you, LaToya, I accept. Men, you go in negotiating, that's not good enough, LaToya. I need $10,000 more. You go in negotiating, ladies, I need you to know the power that you have. You have to negotiate, but you all have to do your homework so that you don't negotiate too far out where someone says, heck, can't afford you, not in our range. But not lowball yourself to the point that once you get into that position, especially if you stay in it, it takes you forever to get where you want to be. I know it firsthand because I see the salaries across the board. I see all these salary gaps and disparities. So you have to go in there negotiating. You have to learn how to do that. And it's not easy, but you need somebody who can help you with that. And then you need an accountability partner. You need somebody to hold you accountable. So last year this time, I was 203 pounds. This year, do I need to tell y'all my weight? Anyway, I'm not 203 pounds. But I had an accountability partner that held me accountable to make sure that I was on my weight loss plan. LaToya, how many times did you run this week? Because I'm a runner. How many times did you run this week? What did you eat? Show me a picture. How much did you weigh in? And so honestly, the reason why I lost the weight because I didn't want to hear her mouth. God, I had somebody I had to be accountable to. So you need that accountability partner, somebody who can hold you to it. Because sometimes when you can hold somebody, most of the time you're doing it for them. You know, because you just don't want to let that person down. So that's important. And so I just want to share a couple more things and then we can go into the Q&A. And that is, the workforce is changing. Of course, it's more diverse. And as we continue to bring on different folks to the workforce, the technology is changing and all of that. But we have a sense of disconnect sometimes, you know? We have our cell phones. So if I got to tell you something, I'm going to text you. Manager, I'm going to be late. Text your manager. So, you know, we have ways of communicating. We have multiple ways of communicating, but there's still a disconnect. And so when companies are looking for people to hire, we're looking for those skills that we can't teach. I can't teach you how to smile. I can't teach you how to have a good attitude. But some of the things that we're looking for is definitely good communication style. You're going to be in situations, and some of you are already doing it now with group assignments and team assignments and things like that. You got to learn how to communicate. You got to learn how to understand one another's communication styles. It's all about relationships, people. There's a good book out there called The 5 Love Languages. Get it. Especially if you're in a relationship. You need to know what your partner's love language is. But if you can use that same concept in any relationship, there's also the DISC model where you understand the communication styles that way. But it's the same concept. When you're in, and so we need folks who can be in a team environment. We all sit around and talk about what's your strength, what's your strength. Oh, okay, good. And I will always want to be part of a team where somebody else has stronger skill sets than I am, because that makes me feel like I'm a little smarter too, because I can tap into their energies and stuff like that. But it's all about teamwork. And so you're going to be in some situations where you have to be in a team. And somebody has to learn how to be in the supportive role, and some people have to learn how to be in the leadership role. You can't have a whole bunch of leaders with that old saying, all these chiefs and no Indians. You know, you also have to learn how to be adaptable. Things are going to change. It's ever so changing. One day you may have a boss for 3 years that you love so much, and then the next thing you know, that person get promoted or leave, and then you got somebody else new. One minute you might be on this assignment and you love that assignment. Next one they put you on this project assignment. You have to learn how to be a change agent and be able to have and be adaptable to change leadership. Problem solving. You're going to have issues. Problems are going to come up. But you have to be able to think about that situation and find out what's the best solution. What's the win-win? How are we going to communicate that? What's going on? Am I going to run away from the problem? I'm going to run to my manager all the time? Or I'm going to figure out a way to solve that. I'm going to figure out a way to not shy away from some of those problems. Sometimes you're in those situations to learn from them. You're going to experience a lot of pain in your life. But that pain is nothing but strength building. And that makes you even stronger. So the stronger you are is because of all that pain and all of that you went through to get you there. Because if I take away the pain, then I got to take away the strength too. So no matter what situation you're in, good, bad, or indifferent, you're supposed to be in that situation for you to experience something and learn something from it. But to be that critical thinker and to use those skills. I want you to do something for me. Close your eyes again. Don't fall asleep though. Close your eyes and visualize this with me. One day you're walking along this path. It was a beautiful sunny day. And as you're walking along this path, you're singing. And you can finally hear the birds singing. You feel the sun beating on your face, and it feels so good and warm. And you're just walking on this path. And as you're walking on this path, you pass by this little person. And the little person looked at you and waved at you and gave you a gentle smile. And you kept on walking. And as you continue to walk on that path, something in you said, wow, that kid looks familiar. And you keep walking along that path and you turn your head and that kid is staring back at you. And you're mesmerized by this kid, like, I know this kid. So you turn around and you walk towards that kid, and that kid is walking towards you. And as you guys continue to walk, you meet each other. And you look at that kid, and that kid looks at you. And you ask that kid, why you look so familiar? Who are you? And that 8-year-old kid say, I'm you. I'm you. If that 8-year-old kid, you, was in your face right now, what would that 8-year-old kid say to you today? What would that 8-year-old kid say about your hair? What would that 8-year-old kid say about the major that you're in? What would they say about the career you're choosing to go into. Think about what that 8-year-old kid would say to you today. Think about that. Open up your eyes. I use that visualization because when we were 8 years old, we were fearless. We were no-limit soldiers. You couldn't tell us anything. We was confident. We knew everything. And the reason why I use that 8-year-old kid, because I got an 8-year-old kid. And he thinks he knows everything. And he thinks he's Superman. And he's jumping off his bunk bed. And I'm like, look, I'm not going in the ER tonight, so don't be jumping off the bunk bed. You're not a superhero. But he thinks he can do everything. And I tell you this because I want you to think about your life. I want you to think about the legacy you want to live and you want to lead. I want you to think about when you're feeling like you want to give up, how you're not going to give up. I want you to think about and visualize, because what you visualize, you will materialize. I want to see you visualize yourself crossing that stage with your diploma and your degree and advanced degrees. I want you to visualize yourself in the position that you want to be in. I want you to visualize yourself obtaining all those things that you want to obtain. And if you haven't created a vision board or a manifestation board or a dream board, I challenge you today, before this year ends, to create a vision board and visualize and create that board of all the things that you want to accomplish in your life. Because sometimes you got to be able to see it to believe it. And I want you to be able to see it, taste it, feel it, touch it, and act as if and speak in present tense as if it's happening right now. And I'm serious about this, you guys. And I want you to always remember that and be passionate about that. Your last homework assignment, because yes, I teach, I'm a professor, so I give homework. So your homework assignment today is that I'm gonna get everybody a Jag. I am not Oprah, but I'm gonna give you all a Jag. And it's not the car because I can't afford it. So I'm gonna give you this Jag. And that is, J is for journal. I want you to journal every day. I don't care what you put in it. I met a crazy lady from Fifth Third Bank today on a Monday night. Journal every day. Write your thoughts down. Get it out. And then the A is for affirmation. I want you to affirm yourself every single day. You got enough things coming at you, especially if it's negative. You got to affirm and arm yourself every day. So start with I am. I am going to get an A today on this class. I am enough. I am worthy. I am love. Affirm yourself every single day. And then the last thing is G, is gratitude. Write 3 things that you're grateful for every single day before you go to bed. And I ask you to do this for 21 days. Why do I say 21 days? Because it takes 21 days to create a habit. Yes, you guys got it. It takes 21 days to create a habit. And I tell you, if you do that for 21 days and even longer, people are going to say, the heck, it's something different about you. Something different about you. It's just those little subtle things. And I'm going to leave you with this because it's getting close to 8 and I want to take questions and I expect questions. Do what it is that you're called to do. Go inside. Every single answer that you have it inside. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you'll forget something and then when you quiet yourself down, it comes to you? Happens all the time, doesn't it? Give yourself time to quiet yourself because every answer that you need, you have it inside. Live the legacy of what do you, and I tell you this because people may forget what you have said, people may have forget what you've done, but you never forget how somebody made you feel. Spend time with those relationships, hone those relationships that you want to deepen. It's about networking. It's about relationship building. It's about telling people what it is that you want to do. It's about acting on what you're passionate about. And I charge you to do that today. I'm standing here today because I didn't want to give up on you guys. My mother died suddenly on Saturday. And I'm here today because I know my mother will want me here. And I'm grieving hard. And it took everything I had to come up here today. But I know my mother gave me the strength to be here today. And she gave me the willpower to give and to give back. And I'm charging you all today because I'm going to live my mother's legacy. She said to give, to serve, to pull as you climb, and I'm going to do that. So I thank you all for listening to me tonight. If you have questions, nothing is off limits. I will answer them to the best of my ability. Hopefully I can connect with you all afterwards because Fifth Third Bank is hiring. I thank you so much. Any questions? Is that I have a passion for helping people. I have a passion for not staying stagnant. I have a passion for always growing. I have a passion for learning something new. I have a passion for meeting new people. And so that's what keeps me going. If you do not stay current, you will die. And so I do my best to stay current. I do my best to sit with folks that are much younger than I am so I can listen to them and understand where they're coming from. Because I talk to candidates all the time and, I recruit with retention in mind. And when I see great people that I've hired and they leave shortly afterwards, whether it's a year or two, I'm concerned. And so what organizations should be doing is having more stay interviews versus exit interviews. And so I'll call those people, hey, what's going on? Why are you leaving? And I'm hearing things like, I just don't feel like I'm part of the team. I don't feel included. I don't feel like I fit. Because you got all these people who are seasoned and been here a long time. You got those people over here, and you got the people who are new over here. And in the beginning, we all lovey-dovey. Oh, welcome to Fifth Third Bank, and we do this and this. And then after a year or so, they over here and we over here. Nobody's in the middle playing. And so I'm trying to bridge that gap. Stop building walls, people. Let's build bridges. Let's come together. Let's talk, because you can learn from them and they can learn from you. That's how that works. So I'm trying to figure it out. And so that's what keeps me energized. That's what keeps me going. How can I keep people to stay? And how can I recruit more to come? Trust me, our organization has been through a lot, and we've grown, and we're doing some phenomenal things. We need strategic-minded people on our team. We need visionaries. We need new thought leaders working for our organization. So that's what drives me. I like to be around those smart people like you all. That makes me feel smart. My mother taught me I don't have to know everything, but just be around people who do. And that's what I'm doing. Thank you for your question. Who else? So what we talked about at dinner is, and a little bit of what I talked to you all about tonight, is that the difference between where you are and where you want to be is the gap. And so in my career, and what I want to do next is being an HR business partner, what have you. All of my experience in human resources have been on the talent acquisition side. So I don't have maybe talent development, employee relations, compensation experience, and all of that. So I don't allow those limitations to hold me back. So I had to get creative. So I'm like, how am I going to get that experience and I can't get it in my current role? And so what I did was, for the boards that I sit on, so currently I sit on a nonprofit board called the United Black Fund Board. And so I'm the HR chair. So I'm responsible for all the HR for that small nonprofit. So what do I get to do? I get the opportunity, honestly and safely, to be that HR business partner in that nonprofit. So I get to do things that I can't do in my current role. So I'm creating policy manuals. I'm creating job descriptions. Actually, I'm recruiting somebody right now because we're hiring somebody in the organization. I get to do those HR things that's given me the experience and exposure. So when it's come time for me to apply for a position that may be a higher level, looking for that experience, I've gotten that real live experience in my nonprofit. And then also, those areas, when I identify my gaps, those areas of gaps, I said, okay, I don't know compensation well. What do? I personally recruit somebody who's in compensation on my personal board of directors. So I have somebody in compensation, I have somebody in employee relations, I have somebody in talent management, I have somebody in industrial design and all of that. So I have people in my HR circle that have the experience that I need, so then when I come into a situation, I can tap into them and get that experience and get that exposure and say, hey, I'm weak in this area. Can you help me here? Don't allow limitations and lack of experience keep you from where you ultimately want to go. Get creative. If you can join a board or organization or work for an organization that will allow you to use those hidden talents, do that. I'm asking you, always stretch yourself. Don't get comfortable. The minute you get comfortable, the minute you get complacent, stretch yourself, take risks at all times. Always stretch yourself and have stretch goals. Yes. Thank you. That's a good question. So, as I shared with you, my mom instilled, giving back and all of that. So my mom had a prison ministry program, and so she was very passionate about reentry. So of course, I'm her child, so she brings me into it. And so she was part of Friend to Friend, which is under the I can always say that, Lutheran Metropolitan Ministries. And so they have a program called Friend to Friend where you are mentoring women and men in prison. So the men are matched up with men at Grafton, and women are matched up with women either at Marysville or at Northeast. Actually, they changed it to Northeast Integration Center. And so, yes, so I have an opportunity every month to go out there and speak to them and help them with job readiness, because a lot of those women are going to be released pretty soon. So I have a match that I have a mentee that I go see once a month, well, twice a month. I saw her yesterday. And so I do get a chance to talk to those individuals and prep them for career opportunities, so as they transition. So that's resume writing, because guess what, even though they're incarcerated, they have jobs. Being incarcerated, then they may have had previous employment too. So helping them with resume building, helping them with preparing them for their transition back into society. And so I do that. And I will give you a tidbit, because I just went to Marysville a month ago. And what Marysville is doing with those women who are soon to be released, there are certain organizations that recruit talent specifically from that prison. For an example, Cold Vision hires a lot of those individuals from Marysville, because at Marysville, all of the women who are part of the the eye care, they make all the glasses there for the inmates. So those folks have the experience. So when they come out, Cold Vision will hire them because they don't have to, do a lot of training, because they already have the training. They're coming from a structured environment, so those individuals are pretty much can handle structure, constructive feedback. They're always on time. Whatever you ask them to do, they do, and they're the best employees. So I tell people not to judge. If it was up to me, if I didn't work for a financial institution, we can't hire individuals who have felonies. But if I could, I would hire a majority of the women that I mentor, because they are smart, they're creative, and it's just that circumstances, life events happen that cause them to be incarcerated. And majority of them is all drug related, which I'm all about rehab and not putting folks in jail, but that's a whole nother conversation for a different day. Thank you for that question. We got jokes this evening. All right. So I don't believe in work-life balance. So balance, that word, I believe in there are integrated parts. And so I believe that number one, self-care is important. That's real easy for me to say, and I just told you my mother passed, I'm sitting right here, but that's okay, that's a whole other different story. But it's really about you having a great support system. It's about you prioritizing what matters most. Because I'm not saying to folks, so you can't do this and you can't do that. I thank God for my husband, because I couldn't do the things that I do in the community if it wasn't the partnership with my husband. And so it's about, you have to make sure that you don't overextend yourself, and that you know what your bandwidth is. Because I have people coming to me all the time. I had two organizations call me last week wanting me to sit on their board. I'm very passionate about those two organizations that called me. I don't have the bandwidth to do it. But what I do is, those organizations that need someone, if I have a mentee that I'm developing and needs that exposure and that development, I will refer them over to that board and say, hey, I really appreciate you reaching out to me. I would love to, but at this time I do not have the capacity. However, I have someone who likely will be a good fit for that board opportunity. And then I sell that person's skill set and what they have to offer to that particular board. So you have to be able to figure out what matters most. You got to have a support system. I have a group of friends, girlfriends, and we support each other. We have, we have play dates with our children. We take each other's kids so everyone can have their own little personal adult dates and date nights and things like that. But it's about having a support system. It's about what matters most. And it's about you managing your time and prioritizing what's more important. And like I said, sometimes, one is going to weigh more than the other, and that's fine. But you got to know that, and you also have to utilize your resources and things like that, and put things into place that'll make it easier for you so you can spend more time with family. So prime example, if majority of your time on the weekends is cleaning your house, maybe it's, hey, what can I adjust in my budget and get somebody else to do it so I can use that time to be with my family. So you got to think about those things. What are other things that I can do, and what's good value of my time? Cost benefit. What's the good value of my time when I can do something differently to add more time back inside? Good question. Thank you. Anyone else? And so, because I sell the bank all the time. I sell the bank, I sell the opportunity, I sell our culture, I sell all that we have to offer to the bank. And I will tell you guys, some of you all are going to major in different things and still may not go that route. You probably know plenty of people that have degrees in certain areas and not doing what their major was. And so that may happen, or you may switch majors, or you might get into that particular position. I have a couple of friends who went the business route, and they went back to school and now they're nurses. So that could happen. And so it's really good time right now to be exploratory. And if that's definitely the avenue that you want to go in marketing, I'm an advocate of internships, meaningful internships. And then once you're in those internships, that you work them, and you, especially if you love the company, that you make your connections, you have informational interviews with the people who make decisions there, and figure out a way to be able to come back. And so, because it's all about experience, getting that experience and honing in on the experience, and then people seeing what you have to offer, so that when it comes down to graduation time, they already know that they want you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so just a couple of tips around that, and that is, we talked about earlier, professional image. And so I will tell you, it just depends on the career choice that you have. If you're going to be a tattoo artist, that's totally acceptable in that particular industry. You want to come for work for a bank, you cannot have a tattoo on your neck. And so I tell individuals as they're searching for careers is that you do your research, look at what the culture's like, the dress standards. Some organizations are more lax, progressive, they can pretty much wear PJs. Sorry if you work for progressive, but that's true. Or you might, if you work for a bank, we're more conservative. And so it just kind of all depends. But you all as students or what have you, think about the decisions that you're making now and how that would impact you in the future. So having a whole bunch of piercings, facial piercing, ears, all of that, tongue, tattoos up the neck, visible tattoos. If you are business majors, that's not really going to, unless you're going to own your own business, that's not really going to fly. If you're going to be an accountant, or if you're going to be a financial analyst, you're going to be a wealth planner, or whatever it is that you're going into, that's just not going to fly. And some organizations are still conservative, and there are some organizations that are going to be a little bit more lax. And don't say, well, Latoya, I can get some makeup to cover that tattoo. Well, guess what? What if you run out of the makeup? Because I had that experience where I interviewed someone and he had a tattoo on his neck and he was upset because he didn't get the job offer, and I had to share with him why, and I said, because you have a tattoo on your neck. Well, I forgot my makeup, I ran out of makeup. I can't run that risk if you run out of makeup and you're not gonna wear a turtleneck in 90-degree weather. So it's about that professional image. I'm not saying you can't have tattoos, it just can't be visible. You gotta have, it's all about that professional image, your voicemails, your email addresses. I mean, I had somebody send me a resume with 555 Jackass. I'm like, really, Jackass? We're not gonna call you. Oh, as your email address? Really? You see that? And I can't make this stuff up. If you was to see some of the resumes I see, I can't make it up. And so it's interesting. So remember, your resume, before we even see you, call you, we're making a determination right then and there if we want to even call you. We're looking at that. So it's about, it's about that overall professionalism. How do you want to be viewed? And so that's important. So your professional dress, all of that. And even when you get with a company, I tell people, dress in the position where you want to be, not where your current position is. You want to be the president of the bank? Dress like the president of the bank. So once again, I really do appreciate you all coming this evening, and I wish you all the best in your career and your education endeavors. Remember the homework assignment that I shared with you all. I hope that you all do it, and much success. Thank you.
Fantastic.